Wow, this has been a really busy week. We've accomplished a lot. We hit some milestones. Ask Dr. Love, you're in the right place. And we're live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Ask Dr. Love is the place where questions about acupuncture, Chinese medicine, Asian medicine, herbal medicine, Egyptian medicine, Tibetan medicine, herbs, nutrition, food therapy, superfoods, and your health. If love is the answer, what is your question? Today is Friday. This is a special day, Juneteenth. Juneteenth was the day that people who were captured and stolen and put in bondage in Texas found out that they were freed by the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln, who signed it January 1st, 1863, but they didn't find out until June 19th, 1865, 18 months later. So that's all that I'm going to say about that. What is important today is emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can make us free. And that's a direct quote from Bob Marley, who wrote an album called Freedom Songs. And that is one of his hit records. And I start today's episode with that quote, that slavery is more mental than it is physical. So, how do you liberate yourself from mental slavery? Well, first of all, stop watching the news. Stop reading news magazines and newspapers. Stop watching TV. Stop listening to the crap on the radio. Stop looking at the internet. Cut all that stuff out. Number two, stop electronic media, because you are enslaved by electromagnetic radiation from your cell phone, from your iPad, from all your tablets. Just let that go. Well, I need that for work. It's my only connection with my family. Okay, so let's start with 1 day a week. Let's pick the day that you were born. You don't know what day you were born. Just type that in. Ask Google, ask Siri. What day of the week was June 3rd, 1957? Whatever day you were born. And it'll tell you what day of the week. And that's the day you're going to not use your cell phone, your computer, your handheld, your tablet, whatever. That's the day you're not using that from 6 p.m. the day before until 6 p.m. that night. The next thing, I bought a little radiation meter. So I had a guest on my radio show. This is more than 15 years ago. And we talked about radiation. So I had it in my car, and I couldn't believe the amount of radiation that was penetrating my body from my car. Now, at that point, I was living in Boca, but I had a radio show in Miami. So 2 days a week, I'm riding to Miami. I'm spending all this time in my car with this radiation. It flipped me out. Get out of your car. Anything that has to do with petroleum-based transportation, out. No car, no Uber, no taxi, no bus, nothing. If you have to get around, use a bike or a skateboard or roller skates. Next thing that enslaves you is electricity. Your stove is enslaving you. Your refrigerator is enslaving you. Your freezer is enslaving you. I moved into a new apartment. I forgot to order the electricity. So 6 o'clock Friday night, I'm calling up. I think the electric company runs 24/7. Well, in this particular city, oh no, the city owns the electricity, and we go to bed 5 o'clock Friday night. So you have to wait till Monday, 8 a.m. to get your electricity turned on. I was so upset. I was like, what am I going to do without electricity the whole weekend? I'm just moving in. And they said, buy some candles. And I just like, oh my God. So I go to the dollar store, I buy 10 candles, the 7-day candles, I put them all over. And fortunately, my doorway opened to the west. So the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So the afternoon sun came into my apartment. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I lit the candles. And when I woke up in the morning, my apartment was very, very light. And I was like, I don't really need electricity because I'm 50% raw. So why do I need electricity? So all day Saturday, all day Sunday, no electricity. Monday morning, click, the electricity comes on. And I didn't want to use it. It was 6 months before I said, okay, I need the electricity for my computers and my monitors and my business. But for 6 months, I had no electricity and I was so happy. And I want that for you. The next thing that it enslaves you is your judgments, your criticisms, and your attachments to wrong ideas and delusion. Now, I know I'm going to hurt some people's feelings when I talk about delusion versus illusion. Delusion is something that's agreed upon. We agree to cross at the corner. We agree to cross on the green. We agree to stop at the red. But there's a whole bunch of other things that we assume are true that are not true. And that's the delusion. The delusion is that your government is here to protect you. The business of government is business. The government is here to protect business and not individual citizens. The Supreme Court has already said the police are not there to protect you. The police are there to protect business. So that's a delusion that is holding you enslaved. So you have to let go of that. We love to criticize. Why? Because our parents criticized us. Our teachers criticized us. Our religious leaders criticized us. And we're so used to receiving criticism that we then have to turn and throw that criticism at someone else. That's a human condition. And if you want to liberate yourself, you have to be free of criticism. Is it even possible? If you don't try, you're never going to know. Stop judging yourself so that you can stop judging others. Judgment is a tough one because we get judged by the clothes that we wear. We get judged by our posture. We get judged by our shape. Are we in shape or are we out of shape? Singers get judged. Politicians get judged by their hair or their beard or their dress. If they're a female, females get judged because of the clothes that they wear. Why did she wear that? That's so unflattering. Who cares? If it doesn't interfere with her ability to do her job, why do you care what she wears? Stop judging. Detox. You are enslaved by meat. They put drugs in the food. I want to sell more of whatever it is that I sell. And I'm not trying to actually poison you, but I want you to buy more of my stuff. So I'm going to put drugs in the food so that you buy it more. So, short story. I read an article 15 years ago about cat food. So there's all these food flavor scientists who decide how to flavor cat food. And what they discovered is that people taste their cat food because they know the cats like what they eat. And if they're going to give their cat food, they're like, well, if it tastes good to me, I know he'll eat it. So these food scientists came up with all these flavor enhancers to make cat food so that humans would like it. This is 15 years ago, folks. I was floored. And I'm thinking, if they do this for cat food, you know they do it for human food. Where did they get the flavor enhancer scientists from in the first place? So there's drugs in your food unless you're buying organic, fresh, natural, that you grew yourself in your backyard or in a 55-gallon drum. You're eating drugs. There are 3 million chemicals in the food today that were not there 40 years ago. So you got to stop buying packaged, prepared, flavored, BHA, BHT, food coloring. You got to stop. That's what is enslaving you. You are addicted to the drugs in your food. You're not even eating real food. You're eating food-like substances. So do your own research. Don't take my word for anything. Alcohol. They tried to ban alcohol. It was called what was it called? Prohibition. Okay, nobody knows history. Prohibition for 12 years. Didn't work. I know you weren't born yet, but so what? You should still have heard of prohibition. So alcohol is made from sugar, wheat. Your body doesn't know the difference between a pound of flour and a pound of sugar. Your body interprets them the same. So whether you're eating bread or cake, your body still interprets it the same way. You're addicted. You're addicted to your carbs, your sugar, your alcohol, your meat, all your foods. You're addicted to them. So how do you get off of that? Chlorophyll. What's in chlorophyll? What is chlorophyll in? Leafy green vegetables. So spinach, kale, romaine lettuce, butterhead lettuce. Go to your produce department of your local health food store, or even your regular Kroger's, Publix, what have you, and say, what's got chlorophyll in it? And the grocer will be able to tell you. If not, I teach classes every month called 21 Days to Wellness. And you can look that up right now. The numerals 21 Days to Wellness.com. And you can register for that monthly online class. Now, what about smoking? Well, tobacco is a medicinal herb. There's nothing wrong with tobacco. In fact, if you lived outdoors where there was cold and damp, if you lived in the northeastern United States and you were a Delaware Indian or a Lenape Indian or any type of Native American in the northeastern United States, the cold, damp environment, you would want to smoke tobacco to dry your lungs, to create warm, dry air in your lungs. And that is perfectly okay. But when you live indoors and you're eating animal fat and you've got mucus congestion, then smoking tobacco, not a good idea. So I don't want to go into a whole thing about cigarettes and 599 additional substances added to tobacco to make you an addict. You already know all that. You can look that up. There's a movie, Thank You for Smoking. But what about the other stuff that you smoke besides tobacco? Is there anything wrong with that? I don't know. Is it medicinal? Can you use it medicinally? Can you be intoxicated? Can it stop you from driving? How many times have you stopped at a stop sign waiting for it to turn green while you were intoxicated with cannabinoids. That's totally up to you. But if you're addicted to it, you're a slave. You're mentally enslaved. And that is the subject. How do you detoxify from the things that you are addicted to? You got two more things. Number one, racial identification and bias. I don't want to talk about racism because the big discussion, nobody agrees on what it is, but everybody knows what racial identification is, and everybody knows what racial bias is. Science, as far back as 1960, has stated unequivocally there is no basis for racial identification in biology, biochemistry, biopsychiatry. There's no basis whatsoever. Yet we are stuck in racial identification. It has to do with enslaved people trying to escape. And they wanted a way to identify them so that they could capture them and re-enslave them. Not good. Stop doing it. Racial bias. We're all biased. We're human beings. I'm a Catholic. You're a Protestant. You're a Jew. You're a Muslim. We're biased for our own belief system. But racial bias, not cool. Let it go. And now we get down to the nitty-gritty of spiritual slavery and spiritual liberation. As a child, as a teenager, we've all experienced abandonment, betrayal, rejection, and abuse. We've all had those experiences. Most of us find a way to get over it, but a lot of us don't. We're stuck in abandonment, rejection, and betrayal. And that is spiritual slavery, because that's the slavery you do to yourself. You have to let go. You have to let go if you want to be free to the stuff that holds you down. We're all addicted to wanting to look good and be right. I wouldn't be seen in that outfit. I can't go out without my earrings. I have to have a new hat. I got to have new shoes every month. I can't wear the same old shoes. That is needing to look good and needing to be right. If you were accused as a child of everything that happened was your fault, when you grow up, you got to be right about everything, because you can't stand it, because it triggers the childhood trauma. Unexpressed desires, because you got criticized and judged as a kid. As an adult, you're afraid to express your true feelings because you don't want to be ridiculed. And then unreasonable demands. Again, childhood trauma brought into adulthood. You've got to recognize it. You've got to see a counselor. You have to see a therapist, a teacher, a guru, whatever. You have to go through a training program. You can go through my emotional enema class. You can go through my emotional mastery class. Whatever it is, you've got to let go of that, what's holding you down. Then there's the 3 spiritual parasites: craving power. I got to be powerful. The parking lot attendant craves power. Give me those keys. Park it over there. I'll let you know. No, I'm not going to do that. So everybody craves power. And then there's craving possessions. I got to have the newest, the latest, the greatest. I got to look the best. I need all of those. People collect cars. People collect aromatherapy. People collect CDs. People collect art. So there's all kinds of things that people want to hold on to. And then there is craving pleasure. Now, Would you rather have pain or would you rather have pleasure? Oh, well, I don't want any pain. Would you rather avoid pain or seek pleasure? Well, I don't know if I want to seek pleasure, but I definitely don't want pain. Well, there's nothing wrong with seeking pleasure, but what's wrong is craving it and becoming addicted to it. And that becomes perverse energy. Sex is good and healthy, and recreational sex is something you should do 2 or 3 times a week. But pedophilia, necrophilia, that's some way out stuff. You gotta really talk to somebody, sit with a counselor, take a course, because craving perverse pleasure, not good. That's still enslaving you. And then there's addiction to anger. There's addiction, and then there's avoidance. I will never do that. I will never go there. I will never wear that. I don't like air conditioning. I don't. Okay, those things are spiritual enslavements that you do to yourself. Those are the things that enslave us. And then all the other emotions: worry, fear, sadness, loneliness, grief, frustration, resentment, shame, blame, guilt. Whoa, that's too many emotions flying around. And we flip: anger, fear, anger, fear, anger, fear, worry, anger, fear, anger, fear, anger, fear, worry. And all those emotions cause us to contract and restrict blood flow and restrict blood oxygen to the brain. And then we make bad decisions. We make bad choices, and we say things that we're going to regret later, and we ruin relationships. Wow. And who are the relationships that we ruin? The people we care about, the ones we're actually bloodline related to. Well, I haven't spoken to my mother in 5 years. Well, my son won't speak to me anymore. Wow. All that's going on. That's what you need to be liberated from. That what you hold on to. That's your delusion. That's your attachment to wrong ideas. That's your attachment to irrational beliefs. You believe in the tooth fairy. You believe in the Easter bunny. You still believe in Santa Claus. And you believe that there's some guy in a spaceship that's going to hover over the earth and suck up 144,000 people and take them to another planet. Wow. Really? So ask me, what can I do to dispel all of the ignorance and the stupidity that I carry around? The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is breathe. Just breathe. Breathe out. Focus on the out breath. Because when you do that, the blood goes into the lungs to get re-oxygenated. So then when you do breathe in, then the oxygenated blood can go out. We've got a question from the audience.
Dr. Love, do you suggest journaling so that one can keep track of their emotions? So how would you be able to rid your emotions if you don't see a pattern?
Okay, so the question was, do I recommend journaling, affirmations, and meditation? Absolutely. It's part of the sleepitation course that I teach. I teach 7 different courses, and these are weekend retreats. They are 48 hours intensive shut-ins. So these are some major courses if you want to change your life, and they're every other month because it's going to take you 2 months to process. So one of those courses is called Sleepitation. Why do I call it Sleepitation? Because I'm too damn busy to meditate for 20 minutes twice a day. I got so much going on. I can't slow my brain down. So we do it when you go to bed. And there's a whole bedtime ritual. And when you wake up in the morning, you journal. whatever you downloaded and whatever's bothering you, whatever's pushing your buttons, whatever your childhood trauma is, yes, you journal all of that. And I teach that in that particular course. And there's 12 affirmations that I've written. And you are going to read those 12 and you're going to pick one that's appropriate to you right now. And we're going to say those affirmations over and over again while you fall asleep to break the neural patterns of addiction to pain and suffering. So I hope that answered your question about journaling as one of the means for shifting the patterns of self-abuse and mental slavery.
Someone mentioned that they are turning off their Wi-Fi in the evening. Do you suggest that?
That is a wonderful idea to turn off your Wi-Fi. I would turn it off 10 at night till 5 in the morning. Another thing I would do is I would not have my phone or my laptop or my tablet in my bedroom. So before I go to bed, I'm going to charge all that in the living room. And then in my bedroom, there's no electronics, none whatsoever. So you could get aluminum foil and even cover the electrical outlets. If you have trouble sleeping at night, it's probably electromagnetic radiation from your clock, your radio, whatever's in your bedroom could be keeping you awake at night.
Dr. Love, are you currently still offering private sessions?
Yes, we are currently offering telehealth. So you make an appointment, we do telephone consultations, and I can prescribe ear magnets, body magnets, that are going to help you physically, even though I can't touch you physically. And then, oh, I have a new office. I forgot to mention, I have an office in downtown Del Rey. So, and I'm seeing patients Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday in Del Rey. So you can call 561-450-5204. Say that again, 561-450-5204 to make an appointment to see me in person for acupuncture and herbal medicine and massage. And I have got 49 ways of doing massage. I don't care how many massage therapists you've been to, until these 10 fingers have touched your neck, you have no clue about what Tui Na, which is Chinese medical massage, can do for you. I worked my way through college doing body work. And I've been doing this since I was 19 years old. I've been doing physical healing since I was 19. And I've been doing spiritual healing since I was 42. I've been doing spiritual healing. So I've been doing this a really long time. I know Angela Pretty has a question. I know Linda McCleary has a question.
Okay, so I have another question, Dr. Love. Is there anything that you suggest in the realm of healthcare to kind of slow down time? Because as we detox from all of these things, ranging from electronics to emotional patterns, we need to soothe ourselves.
I'm so glad you asked me that. So the question was, is there anything that we can do to slow down time? And obviously, that is of critical importance. And the way we do that is through breathing, meditation, exercises. So I had a old client come by last night, and he wanted to know what is the way to heal everything. And I'm like, are you serious right now? 9 o'clock at night, you're going to ask me how to heal everything on the planet. He's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're Dr. Love. You can answer anything. So I said, well, first of all, the short answer is yes, everything can be healed. But the better question is, what can I do to prevent getting sick rather than what can I do to get healed? And he says, yeah, but I'm not trying to think of prevention until I get sick. Then what can I do? So then I explained to him that it's your emotional state that makes you sick. Because when you're emotionally unbalanced, your body produces chemicals that we call neurotransmitters. And those neurotransmitters then make receptor sites. So if you're angry, you make anger chemicals. If you're worried, you make worry chemicals. And then you create receptor sites to receive those chemicals. So we then went into the amygdala, which is the emotional memory. So your brain retains the memory of good things and bad things. But because we're human beings, we have a fear of recreating the bad thing. So anytime there's a threat to our safety or security, bang, zoom, we jump into the amygdala, which is what we call fight or flight syndrome. Now, we also have a hippocampus that's sort of like the middle ground, the medium that's like, hold on, maybe we shouldn't overreact. Maybe we should take it up to the prefrontal cortex that we call Amun Ra. So there's Sebek Ra, who's the amygdala. There's Heru Ra, which is the hippocampus. And then there's Amun Ra, which is the prefrontal cortex. And he says, why are you using Egyptian gods to stand in for brain structures in the limbic system? And I said, because it's easier to use a physical thing that we're familiar with to stand in, because then we understand relationships. So Sebek and Heru are brothers, and one is the hyper brother, the one that overreacts. And then Heru is the calm one that says, okay, slow down, take a breath. Let's take it upstairs. Let's wake Pop up and let him tell us what to do. But the thing is, the amygdala hyper reacts milliseconds before the hippocampus can put a stop to it. And then the amygdala hijacks the whole thing, and then we're off and running. So we got a question.
There's two questions. One of them is, do we feel judged due to attaching our identity to external sources?
Absolutely. Do we feel judged because we attach our identity to external sources? That is absolutely correct. So if I'm a soldier and I'm in a battle and we lose the battle, then I'm judged because of everybody and not just because of myself. So the minute I attach myself to something, and then that gets judged, that situation gets judged, then I get personally judged. And more importantly, I judge myself.
Linda McCleary wants to know, so how can we learn to make joy transmitters and receptors too?
I'm so glad you asked me that question, because that's where I was going next. Okay, so what makes me happy is drumming and dancing. Katniss, what makes you happy?
Qigong.
Qigong dancing. Ed, what makes you happy?
Breathing.
Breathing. What about listening to music?
Yeah.
For mostly everybody on the planet, 99.99, it's music.
Artwork.
And we all like music. And music typically has a beat. Very rarely is there unstructured music. But Music has a beat. And then the beat, and so the heart entrains to the beat of the music, and then and then the brain entrains. So the heart, the breath, then the brain, and that's what triggers the joy chemical. So my Tibetan teacher asks everybody who comes to see him, when did you stop dancing? So my brain went, Tibetans dance? I didn't know that. Buddhists dance? And to my surprise, Buddhists dance. They've got all kinds of Buddhist dances. Then I found out that Muslim men dance. It's called a zikr. And all the men get together and dance. And then I found it in Israeli men dance. And then I found out Palestinian men dance. And then I found out Turkish men dance. So I found out all these ancient cultures, they dance. And that's how they bring joy. And that's how they generate positive chemicals, neuropeptides that trigger the immune system and general happiness and joy, which they then bring home to their families. And of course, they help strangers and they feed people that they don't even know. And that's how we create joy, Linda. Music and dance. And that is how we spiritually evolve, is with the music and dance. Now, of course, if you're going to go to a club with alcohol and tobacco, not so much. But outdoors with acoustic drumming and flute and a wooden saxophone and oboe and ding, 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 bells and strings, all those things activate the higher spiritual evolution. And if we go back to ancient Egypt, we find out there's a priesthood of music. And the chief priest was always a woman. They had choirs, they had lyres, they had lutes, they had flutes, they had shakers, and of course they had all kinds of drums. But that was spiritual lifting. So that's how you create joy in your life. And that is what I want to leave you. If you want to be liberated, you need to liberate yourself with music and dance. You want to dance up to life. That's how you align with the divine. So there is divine music, Beethoven, Bach, and Brahms. Okay, I think we are out of time.
Yes.
I think we're out of time. Are there any more questions? Okay. So next Friday is going to be a 1 hour podcast. And we're going to do a overview of all of the aspects of traditional Asian medicine. We're going to cover the highlights of Tibetan medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, Mongolian medicine, Korean medicine, Japanese medicine. We're going to take in the whole schmear. And we're going to do a show and tell, and then you will get a chance to ask questions about experiencing.
So, Mr. Can Chung says, your fingertips have good chi. I can see and feel it from the live video.
That is true. That is true. Well, thank you. Your health is in your hands. Prevention is the only cure. And if you want to be well, You have to Qigong well. Thank you. Until next Friday, stay tuned. Go to 21daystowellness.com to get on the newsletter, because we're going to do Cooking Raw with Dr. Love webinar every Wednesday. And that's the only way you'll be able to find out about it, because I'm not looking for you. You got to look for me if you want Cooking Raw with Dr. Love every Wednesday from 12 to 1. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to have a whole series on ancient Egyptian medicine, healing, and philosophy. And the first 2 classes are going to be on Egyptian mind science. So the 23rd and 25th of June at 11 a.m., we're going to do a webinar. And yes, it's going to cost some money. And you're going to go to Kemetic Teachings on Facebook. That's KEMETIC. Kemetic Teachings group on Facebook in order to find out about the detail. So the class is already set up. There'll be a link for you to click and join and pay for the class in advance so that you won't be missed when we start and we drop the science about Egyptian mind science. Thank you. I'm Dr. George Xavier Love for Chem Tao and the Blue Dragon Qigong Academy.